Everybody, Don here. I did this video actually for a short, kind of a fun little thing to do. So I figured I'd do a voiceover of this one, but just keep in mind the videography or whatever you want to call it, if that's even a thing when I do something, is meant for that. So anyways, this is a Tecumseh engine, Tecumseh carburetor actually as well. Basically, Toro Mower won't start, struggling to get going. When I did shoot some kind of carb cleaner in the air filter, it does turn over. So typically, as we know, that's probably needs a carb clean. So I did take the exhaust off of this in order to get better access to the carb. I'll show you later. I ended up actually taking off the top cover there too when I'm actually putting it back together because I couldn't get back on this nut on the back. So as I kind of mentioned, I am trying to work really fast here, so that's why it looks like I'm struggling at times. I was trying to do it fast. I knew I'd be speeding it up for the high-speed version, so that's why I knew I wouldn't be doing many edits on that version. So anyways, just the 2 bolts and the nuts. This one could be a little tricky because there's one in the back. I really don't love how these were built, to be honest with you, but... And then obviously the throttle linkage, vacuum hose there. And we take the fuel line off. I think I stopped it here and took it off. Yeah, so on the bench, I think that was a 1/2 inch bolt there. You can see how dirty the fuel is already just by turning the carb over. Old gas from last year. You can see it looks pretty gross. I did pour some of it out of the actual engine of the mower. Took it back to him last night actually. It starts up, ran after doing this for 10-15 minutes. I think the bad fuel is probably through it now, but so once again, just some carb cleaner to clean it up. Spray some in the jet as well to kind of clean out those holes. The carb itself looked okay. Usually you spray it in a couple of the areas just to make sure that it's a little cleaner. Reassembly, same as taking it apart. These are pretty simple carbs. It's an older Toro Mower. The guy's debating going battery power, to be honest with you. Sometimes gas engines can be tricky for people just to get going, and you do have to be careful about storage of fuel and that kind of thing. So there is a place for the battery powered, I think, but... So now we're going back on the mower. You'll see this is where I really struggle. It's tricky getting things back together. It's easy to pull them apart, but especially when I'm not editing. I usually do a bit more editing than I have with this one, but it's kind of nice for you guys to see that. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I do work on these quite a bit. So for someone just looking at it or just trying it for the first time, it's not easy even for someone that does 15 to 20 of these at least a year. So every engine is a little bit different too, so you do need to kind of keep an eye on it. I'm just trying to get the fuel line on here, which is what I was doing there, and then trying to line up these bolts to put the nuts back on. This back one is super tricky. try to use an extension to try to push it in from the back, but just the angle of it is not great. I probably should have just fast forwarded this part, to be honest with you. Make this video a lot shorter. But yeah, you just get to hear my sweet voice for that much longer. So what I end up doing, and you'll see it kind of in the coming minutes, is I do end up taking off that red cover on the top just to get better access so that you can actually kind of drop it in from the top and get behind it. I don't know why, or I guess they just expect people to take the covers off. I feel like a carb should be able to be taken off a little easier than this and not have to take apart, you know, half the motor in order to get to it, but I'm sure they have their reasons as to why they did it that way. But so yeah, in this instance right here, I actually thought I was getting it. It wasn't getting harder to kind of bolt on, but I thought I might have gotten it. Which is why I went to the front one. Even this one can be a little tricky. They're pretty tight in there. So the actual full length of this is probably about, I think it's almost a 12-minute video, but probably took me about 15 to 20 minutes to kind of do it. It's pretty quick to kind of pull them off and clean them. I get a lot of people in my neighborhood that reach out to me in the springtime to say, you know, my mower won't start. Can you take a look at it, kind of thing? And like I said, this is usually about 90% of the time this is the issue. Just needs a carb clean because they left it kind of with bad gas at the beginning of the season. So this is me realizing that the bolts or the nuts not on there. And I actually lost it for a second. I think it pops out from behind here in a second. I tilt it back. That's what I did actually. So yeah, so now you can see I pulled off that top cover. Still a bit tricky to get on, like I said, but we're making progress at least. There's just a lot going on with the throttle linkage. And I don't have the smallest of hands, so. I do need to get a bit of a better setup for working on this kind of stuff. Kind of bending over like this. I'm only 40, but you bend over for 15, 20 minutes over top of a mower, it can be a bit draining. A bit hard on the old lower back, I've realized. I think I finally got it at this spot, which was a huge relief if I'm being honest. I knew it was going to be tricky. It always is, that back one, but I thought I got lucky earlier on in the video and was able to get it, but yeah, just testing the throttle cable there, the linkage. Vacuum tube on, fuel line open. Just testing out the primer bulb there as well. And then kind of putting it back together. So the exhaust back on. These can be a bit tricky sometimes too, just with the lining them up. I think I had one in and one not in, so I had to go back in and kind of readjust in a second here, but should have just taken that top cover off. It made things a lot easier. If I did that, you probably wouldn't have to take the exhaust off either. I think you can get access to it. Well, actually maybe not, because you'd still have to kind of come in from the front. So because that exhaust is only two 2 bolts. I'd probably take it off, as well as that top cover if I had to do it again, just to make things easier. The one good thing with these mowers is that, you know, it's 2 screws for that exhaust piece, and then I think for the top, I think it's 4 screws for that top cover. So there's no real reason that you shouldn't take it off when it's, you know, 6 screws kind of thing to get full access to that carb. Just makes your life a lot easier. So yeah, guys, it's pretty simple process. Obviously, you've seen me do a lot of these, the carb cleans and whatnot, but I know you guys are always looking for specific ones that have been done on certain engine models and that kind of thing, just to give you guys an example of how it'll work on your mower. So whenever I do get these, I try to put a video together for it so that you guys can see how it's done. Like I said, I'm no expert, but I do know that gas left over from the previous year, never a good thing. You saw the color of that gas. Usually does have a bit of a tinge, obviously, but it shouldn't be that that green slash yellow as it was. So kind of put the top cover on, and then like I said, guys, it starts right up at the end here, so let's hear it. And that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Appreciate it. Wish you have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye.